What if I told you that some of the smallest islands on Earth sparked one of the biggest revolutions in modern history? Forget what you think you know about global power. For centuries, the heart of Black liberation wasn't beating in a vast continent or a powerful empire, but across the sun-drenched islands of the Caribbean. This is the story of Caribbean Pan-Africanism, a tale of how islands of rebellion raised a global movement that changed the world forever. Our journey begins in the late 18th century in the French colony of Saint-Domingue, today known as Haiti. Here, amidst the brutal system of sugar plantations, the most profitable colony on Earth was also a ticking time bomb. Enslaved Africans, drawn from diverse cultures and nations, forged a new identity in the crucible of oppression. They shared stories, traditions, and a burning desire for freedom. In 1791, that desire exploded into the Haitian Revolution, led by towering figures like Toussaint Louverture, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, and Cecil Fataman. This was no mere revolt. It was a war for liberation, a declaration that Black people were not property but sovereign beings. For 13 years, they fought against the French, the Spanish, and the British, defeating Europe's mightiest armies. When Haiti declared its independence on January 1, 1804, it became the first free Black republic in the world. This victory sent shockwaves across the globe. For enslaved people from Brazil to the United States, Haiti was a beacon of hope, a living testament that freedom was possible. For slave-owning empires, it was their worst nightmare come true. The Haitian Revolution did more than free a single island. It planted the seed of a radical new idea that people of African descent, wherever they were in the world, shared a common struggle and a common destiny. This was the dawn of Pan-Africanism. As the 19th century unfolded, the Caribbean continued to be a hub of intellectual and political resistance. Thinkers and activists from Trinidad, Barbados, and Jamaica began to connect the dots between colonialism in the Caribbean and colonialism in Africa. They saw that the same European powers exploiting their islands were also carving up the African continent. The fight for self-rule in the Caribbean and the fight for liberation in Africa were one and the same. This ideology found its most powerful voice in a man from St. Ann's Bay, Jamaica, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. In 1914, Garvey founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association, or UNIA. His message was simple, yet revolutionary. Black people should unite, build their own institutions, and reclaim their destiny. Garvey's vision was global. He wasn't just talking to Jamaicans. He was talking to Black people in Harlem, in London, in Lagos, in Johannesburg, through his newspaper, The Negro World, and his shipping line. The Black Star Line, Garvey built the largest mass movement of Black people in history. The UNIA had millions of members in more than 40 countries. He preached self-reliance, economic independence, and pride in African heritage. His famous call to look to Africa when a black king shall be crowned was a prophecy of empowerment. Garvey made millions of people see themselves not as a scattered, defeated race, but as a global nation with a glorious past and a powerful future. He made Pan-Africanism a household idea, though Garvey's movement faced immense pressure from colonial governments and eventually declined. The fire he ignited could not be extinguished. The torch was passed to a new generation of Caribbean intellectuals who would shape the next phase of the struggle. Enter the Trinidadian connection. The island of Trinidad and Tobago, a cultural melting pot, produced a stunning number of Pan-Africanist thinkers. One of the most brilliant was C.L.R. James. In his masterpiece, The Black Jacobin, James didn't just chronicle the Haitian Revolution, he analyzed it as a pivotal event in world history, placing it alongside the French Revolution. He argued that the enslaved Africans of Haiti were not passive victims, but active agents of their own liberation, who took the European ideals of liberty and equality and made them real. Another Trinidadian, George Padmore, started as a communist but became one of Pan-Africanism's chief strategists. Moving to London, he became an advisor to future African leaders, including a young man from the Gold Coast named Kwame. Padmore's home was a university of revolution, where the plans for African independence were drawn up. He taught Nkrumah that political independence was meaningless without economic freedom and true African unity. This Trinidadian school of thought was practical, strategic, and uncompromising. They understood that the fight against racism in the Americas was inseparable from the fight against colonialism in Africa. It was this intellectual firepower from a small Caribbean island that helped lay the ideological groundwork for the decolonization of an entire continent. When Kwame Nkrumah led Ghana to independence in 1957, it was a victory for all of Africa and for the Caribbean. The dream of Marcus Garvey, nurtured by thinkers like Padmore, had become a reality. A black star shone on the flag of a free African nation. Nkrumah himself acknowledged his debt, inviting Caribbean leaders and thinkers to Accra to celebrate and to plan the next steps. The total liberation and unification of Africa. The Caribbean influence didn't stop there, as the civil rights movement gained momentum in the United States. Another voice from Trinidad rose to prominence, Stokely Carmichael, who would later be known as Kwame Ture. Carmichael electrified the world with his call for Black power. This wasn't just a slogan, it was a continuation of the Pan-Africanist tradition of self-determination, self-respect, and self-defense. Kwame Ture connected the struggle of Black Americans in Mississippi with the struggle of people in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. He argued that their fight was part of a global rebellion against colonialism and racism. He traveled the world, meeting with revolutionary leaders and spreading the gospel of Pan-Africanism. He made it clear that Black power meant not just political control of Black communities, but also a psychological and cultural revolution, a shedding of the colonial mindset. From the rebellion in Haiti to Garvey's global empire of ideas. From the intellectual powerhouse of Trinidad to the revolutionary fire of Kwame Ture, the Caribbean has been a constant source of energy for the Pan-African movement. These small islands have produced an outsized number of giants who challenged empires and changed the way Black people saw themselves and their place in the world. They taught us that geography is not destiny. They showed us that the descendants of the enslaved could become the architects of liberation. The story of Caribbean Pan-Africanism is a powerful reminder that the fight for freedom is a global one, and that revolutionary ideas can come from the most unexpected of places. It's a legacy of resilience, intellect, and unwavering commitment to the unity and liberation of African people everywhere. This history is not just in the past, it lives on today. It lives on in the music, the culture, and the political consciousness of the Caribbean and the diaspora. It is a story that continues to inspire new generations to fight for a more just and equitable world. The islands that raised a global revolution continue to beat at the heart of Black liberation. Thanks for joining us on this journey. If you found this story as powerful as we do, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the histories that have shaped our world. See you next time.